I don't think beautiful girls would replace freedom, but it might be close. It might make it tolerable if you didn't have freedom and liberty. Welcome back to the second segment of the Patrick Reagan Show. The one show that guides you through the jungle of government intrusion, tyranny. We clear through all of that with the machete of truth and freedom. Two indispensable provisions that are becoming increasingly rare in the country today. You're listening to us here on the Libertarian Lighthouse Radio Network and News Talk 98.7 WOKI. What I want to talk about this segment is what is referred to as the revolving door between government and business. I have a few points to make this segment, so I'll try to work through them as quickly as possible to get everything in before this half-hour break. This revolving door is one of the signs that our government has too much influence in this country. I'm not saying that people shouldn't be free to take a government job and then take a private sector job or vice versa. I don't have any problem with that at all. What I'm pointing out is what we can learn from the observations of this occurring almost on a daily basis. Why would a company reward an employee for jumping ship and getting a job in the federal government? Did you even know that they did this? That employees were given bonuses and stock options as a reward for quitting their company and joining the federal workforce. Most people who haven't been on the inside of government don't know this is fairly standard policy. For instance, in February of this year, Treasury Secretary Jack Lew received an exit package worth over $1 million from Citigroup shortly before joining the Obama administration. Did you know that Mr. Lew's contract with Citigroup made explicitly clear that his eligibility for a special bonus was contingent on his securing a, quote, full-time, high-level position with the U.S. government or regulatory body? A story ran in The Nation back in May addressing this very type of thing. Here's what it said. Recent disclosures and employment agreements reviewed by The Nation show that current leadership staff to both Democratic and Republican lawmakers have received six-figure bonuses and other incentive pay from corporate firms shortly before taking jobs in Congress. In many cases, these staffers are well-positioned to influence multi-billion-dollar legislation on issues ranging from tax policy to defense and which impact their previous employers. Robert Walker, an attorney and former chief counsel to both the House and Senate ethics committees, stated that ethics rules authorize congressional staffers to receive bonuses from prior employers as long as the money is being paid for work previously performed. Such bonuses and other financial awards are ostensibly allowed so long as they are, quote, not been enhanced because of the individual's congressional employment, unquote. The Nation goes on to write, though, but it is almost impossible to discern the circumstances under which a lobbying firm or corporation gives bonuses to departing employees who take powerful political positions. Such information is closely guarded, and none of the employers were willing to share this type of information. Are you starting to understand why I say over and over there is no discernible difference between the Republican and the Democratic parties? That it's one big pro-government party, and we, the taxpayers, we're the ones picking up the tab. This column went on to say, congressional staffers can earn as much as $170,000 as a federal employee, but such pay pales in comparison to what many have come to expect on K Street, that's in Washington, where top lobbyists earn several million a year. The bonuses, which cut across industries, from defense contracting to broadcasting, and which can amount to several $100,000, help staffers to maintain the fixed costs associated with a lobbyist lifestyle. In other words, they need lots of money to pay off congressional representatives. It's not called that, of course. It's called fact-finding trips or issue conferences. Did you also notice how all these types of things seem to occur in Las Vegas or California or Hawaii or Florida? There's a real good reason for that, you know. The column goes on to say, it strains common sense that when employers are giving employees who are about to enter government work these huge bonuses, that there isn't a hope that there will be influence and access. That was Jessica Levinson, a professor at Loyola Law School in Los Angeles. She compared the bonuses to how special interests seek access to politicians using campaign donations. Quote, I think the main gist of the payment is the same, she notes. It's, quote, I hope when I'm pushing a piece of legislation, you'll remember me with fondness. In early April, President Obama released his budget proposal, which reflected calls by military leaders asking for contracts with defense behemoth Northrop Grumman to be cut or cut back. Among them was the Global Hawk, which is an unmanned aerial vehicle used to gather intelligence, which the Air Force has complained is not only too expensive but unnecessary, since traditionally manned U-2 flights adequately serve its surveillance needs. But lawmakers on both House and Senate Armed Services Committees have pushed back, demanding funding for the Global Hawk. The demand to restore funding to the Northrop Grumman drone comes at a time when the company has employed at least 20 former congressional staffers as lobbyists. In addition, Northrop Grumman has former lobbyists running the two major committees. In January, Ambrose Bruce Hawk was hired by Senator Jim Inhofe, a Republican of Oklahoma, as a staff member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, where Inhofe recently became ranking member. Hawk, a former Northrop Grumman executive and lobbyist, received up to $450,000 in bonus and incentive pay from Northrop Grumman in March, according to disclosures filed with the Ethics Committee. And apparently he's not alone. The story says, on the other side of Capitol Hill, a senior staffer for the House Armed Services Committee who worked for Northrop Grumman as a lobbyist, Thomas McKenzie, received a similar bonus and severance pay worth $498,334 before assuming his position in 2011. In remarks on the Senate floor, Inhofe has cited the Global Hawk as an example of how President Obama wants to gut our military. Interestingly, Northrop Grumman's employment policy, as stated in its February 8K filing, which is not what a lot of people read. Most people read the annual report, but this was in the 8K filing. It encourages employees, this is from their employment policy, quote, it encourages employees to take positions in government by providing special financial incentives to those who leave to become public servants, unquote. It stipulates that when employees retire due to government service, they have the privilege to vest stock options that would ordinarily be paid out over time. The Nation reached Randy Belote, Northrop Grumman vice president for strategic communications. They talked to him and asked him about this former employee, Tom McKenzie, who's now working at the House Armed Services Committee. Their official statement was he had left when his position was eliminated and received, quote, customary severance compensation. The company, however, would not comment on McKenzie's bonus, which, according to disclosures, came in addition to severance pay, or the bonus awarded to Bruce Hawk. Asked if Northrop Grumman has met with its former staffers, now leading the House and Senate Armed Services Committees, to discuss defense policy or certain weapons programs, the Nation was told, quote, Northrop Grumman has a long-standing policy that we do not comment on meetings or conversations held with government representatives. The Nation asked, what about the government contract? Were the bonuses related to the decision by the two former executives to enter the government work? Company said, we don't have any further comment. Thanks. So am I railing against people getting jobs in government? No. Am I railing against people going from private industry to government? No, not that either. The point I want you to take away from this is if the government didn't have so much power and money, this would be a non-issue. But the Republicans and the Democrats have both ceased working towards the good of this country and are now working for the good of themselves. Well, unfortunately, the half-hour break has arrived. Hey, stay with us through the bottom of the hour here, because when we return, I have some good stuff on just how advanced our country has become. How it's becoming one of the civilizations that will be labeled kind and good. All that and more when we come back here on the Patrick Ray Show and the Libertarian Lighthouse Radio Network.
Somewhere there's speaking, it's already coming in.